I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Claire's face, that cold, unfeeling smile, the way she turned her back on me as those men dragged me away. The smell of the van's dirty seats still lingered in my nostrils, mixing with the sour stench of the dark room they had locked me in. My wrists were sore from how tightly they'd held me, and my throat ached from screaming until my voice broke. But the worst pain wasn't physical. It was emotional. It was knowing that my own sister, my blood, had sold me for a handful of crumpled bills. $5,000. $5,000. That was the price of my life. At first, my mind couldn't process it. It kept replaying like a broken record. Why? Why would she do this to me? What had I done to deserve it? I had been nothing but loyal to her. I loved her. I trusted her. And she had ripped my trust apart like it meant nothing. I curled up on the thin mat in the corner of the room, hugging myself tightly. My tears wouldn't stop flowing, no matter how hard I tried. But in the midst of my sobbing, a voice deep inside me whispered, "Anna, you can cry later. For now, you have to survive." I forced myself to take a deep breath. The air was musty and bitter, but I inhaled it slowly, letting it fill my lungs. Survive. That was my only goal now. The next morning, the heavy metal door creaked open. Bright light flooded the small, filthy room, stinging my eyes. I shielded my face with my hands, squinting against the sudden brightness. A man stood in the doorway, the same one who had spoken to me last night. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a face that looked like it had been carved out of stone. His eyes were cold and calculating, like a predator sizing up its prey. "Get up," he barked. His voice was deep and commanding. My body trembled, but I forced myself to stand. My legs felt weak like jelly, but I wouldn't let him see how terrified I was. He motioned for me to follow him. I obeyed because I had no choice. The hallway outside was narrow and damp, with peeling paint and the smell of mildew that made me gag. There were other doors along the corridor, and from behind one of them, I heard muffled crying. My heart sunk. I wasn't the only one. There were others here, other victims. He led me into a larger room that looked like some kind of storage area. There was a table in the center, and another man was sitting behind it counting stacks of money. The man behind the table looked up when we entered. He was smaller than the first one, but his eyes were even colder, like snake's eyes. "This her?" he asked. "Yes," the first man replied. The man at the table stood and walked towards me slowly, circling me like I was an object for sale. "Pretty girl, she'll fetch a good price." I froze, my breath catching in my throat. A good price? What were they planning to do with me? I wanted to scream, to fight, to claw my way out of there, but my body betrayed me. Fear held me frozen in place like a statue. He leaned closer, so close that I could smell his foul breath. "Behave yourself," he hissed. "It will be easier for everyone." Then he turned to the other man. "Take her back. We'll move her tonight." "Move me? Move me where?" The thought made my stomach twist in terror. I was escorted back to the tiny room and shoved inside like trash. The door slammed shut and I was alone again. For hours I paced the small space like a caged animal. My mind raced with thoughts, each one darker than the last. I couldn't stay here. If they moved me again, who knows where I would end up? I might never be found. I might disappear forever. That was when I made a promise to myself. I would escape, no matter what it took. I would not die here. Night fell quickly, plunging the room into darkness. I sat with my back against the wall, straining my ears for any sound outside. Through the thin walls, I heard voices, low, urgent whispers. I couldn't make out all the words, but I caught pieces. Truck ready, buyer wants her alive, move her tonight. My heart pounded in my chest. Midnight. I didn't have much time. I scoured the room desperately, looking for anything I could use to my advantage. There wasn't much, just the mat, a rusty water pipe in the corner, and a small, cracked window high up on the wall. The window was too small for me to fit through, but it wasn't completely sealed. I could hear the faint chirping of crickets outside. If I couldn't escape physically yet, maybe I could gather information. I pressed my ear to the door, listening carefully. The guards were talking about a route they planned to take, a back road leading to the docks. Docks? That meant water. That meant they were planning to take me somewhere by boat. A wave of dread washed over me. If they got me onto that boat, I might never see land again. No, I couldn't let it happen. Hours passed like centuries. The sound of footsteps grew louder as midnight approached. When the door finally opened, I was ready, or as ready as I could be. Two men entered. One reached for me roughly, grabbing my arm. The other held a flashlight, its harsh beam cutting through the darkness. They didn't expect me to fight back. With every ounce of strength I had, I stomped on the foot of the man holding me and drove my elbow into his stomach. He grunted in pain, loosening his grip just enough for me to break free. Adrenaline surged through my veins like fire. I ran. The hallway blurred around me as I sprinted toward the faint light at the far end. Behind me, shouts erupted, echoing off the walls. "Get her! Don't let her escape!" My bare feet slapped against the cold concrete floor. I didn't look back. I couldn't afford to. At the end of the hall, I saw a door slightly ajar. I threw myself at it, bursting out into the night air. For a split second, I was stunned by the cool breeze and the sight of stars overhead. But there was no time to stop. I ran into the trees, branches scratching my arms and legs. My lungs burned, my heart hammered, but I kept going. Behind me, the men's voices grew fainter and fainter until they were swallowed by the night. Finally, when I couldn't run another step, I collapsed beside a fallen tree, gasping for breath. Tears streamed down my face, tears of exhaustion, terror, and rage. I was free, for now. But freedom was only the first step. I was alone, in the middle of nowhere, with no idea where I was or how to get home. I thought of Claire, her smiling face as she took the money, her cold, dismissive words, "This is just business." Anger surged through me, burning hotter than fear. "No, Claire, this isn't just business. This is personal." I spent the rest of the night hiding in the forest, listening for any sign of pursuit. As dawn broke, I began to move cautiously, searching for a road, a village, anyone who could help me. Hours later, I stumbled across a dirt path. In the distance, I saw smoke rising. a sign of civilization. Summoning the last of my strength, I followed the path until I reached a small fishing village. The people there were wary at first. I must have looked wild, barefoot, bruised, my clothes torn. But one kind old woman took pity on me. She brought me water and food, and as I ate, she gently asked what had happened. I told her everything, every painful detail. Her face grew pale with horror. "You're lucky to be alive," she said softly. "There are people out there who make a living from this kind of evil." I nodded, tears spilling down my cheeks. But inside, something had changed. I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was a survivor. And I would never let anyone, especially Claire, hurt me like that again. For the next few days, I stayed with the old woman, recovering my strength. But my mind never stopped working. I thought constantly about Claire, about why she had done it. Was it jealousy? Greed? Hatred I had never seen before? Whatever her reasons, I knew one thing for certain. She believed I was gone. She believed she had won. And that belief would be her downfall. Because I was coming back. Not as the naive little sister she had betrayed, but as someone stronger, smarter, more dangerous. I didn't just want revenge, I wanted justice. And I would take everything from her just like she had taken everything from me. Will Anna's new strength be enough to face Claire and the powerful forces behind her betrayal? And how will she transform from a broken victim to a force her sister never saw coming? If you were Anna, what would you do next? Seek forgiveness or unleash revenge? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for listening. If this story has kept you on the edge of your seat, please like, subscribe, and share to support us and make sure you never miss the next chapter. Your support helps us bring you more powerful stories like this one. To be continued.